Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the world, from Cape Cod to Cancun, from Vegas to the Vatican. East Coast Sports Investors has you covered. And today we have a very special guest, a very, very good friend of mine, someone that has finally hit our airwaves. And I'm so excited to have him here on board. We call him the real Vegas Dave, the one and only Dave Sharapan. Dave, let's bring you on, my brother.
What is up, JD? Oh my goodness. I didn't realize we were dressing up for this thing. I thought it was just us kind of talking. I mean, you look great, brother. What's up?
Well, you were gifted today. We had a big meeting with a potential big sponsor for ECSI moving forward, which at some point we will talk about. So
Yes.
this is the dress to impress, the double bag, hands out, and let's go look. So I said I didn't have time to change, so I was like, let's just get in and let's get started.
All right. Well, I mean, I'll bring it best I can, but I mean, I'm still, it's a little early out in Vegas. I just kind of got dressed, but I wore the hat for you. I mean, I tried to represent a little bit. So, let's go.
Dave, before we get serious here, because there's a million questions that I would like to answer, and we would be streaming for hours upon hours, and we're going to give them that little story. I did a quick check, okay, and
Yep.
I was wrong on this. Starting in August, okay, we had talked on social media, met each other through that, and not until March did we finally have the first sit down. But you've been getting our texts, you've been getting our alerts. We've stayed close on a day-to-day basis now for almost a year.
Yep.
Can you've been in the business forever. Can you just explain to everyone what ECSI is all about and what separates us from 99.9% of everyone else in this lane?
Oh yeah. I've, this dates back years and years from when, you originally did the podcast and told the story about how people gave out both sides of a game and all this stuff. So this business has been forever for me. Like I've seen it, learned about it. What you guys do is different. I mean, with the everyday touch of reaching out, I mean, I get it every day. I get the text on my email every single or on my phone every day, and you write it because I hear you reading it. So when I read it, I hear your voice and your little twists, and you always, you recognize certain people that follow, or you'll intertwine this show. There's a personal touch involved with this ECSI that's different than most. You really are just a number, and who knows if you're getting the same side as everyone else with a lot of services. I mean, there are a lot of reputable, pick services and things like that. There are. You're not the only one, but I know you personally, and I see the effort and the amount of time that you put into being at the desk, like you like to call it. I mean, you're very in tune with what's going on. You've been around this business for decades. So it's not just like scanning the board and picking out 3 games, the most popular games as far as interest and, viewership, and saying, oh, I got to pick these 3 games, give it out. You'll have days where you're like, I don't have a play. So, it's pizza money, and it's like nobody does that. So, and then, I mean, just like we talk about, in the read on my show and stuff, like just Google search, sports investing or things like that. You come up in the top. That's an earned position. There are ways that people pay for it and get up there with, SEO and all that stuff. Positions earned. You've been in this doing this, thing for a number of years now, build up the clientele, and it's real. So, and I don't just throw out endorsements for anyone, and I mean, I have to buy it myself or see it and say, this is real. Can we swear on this thing? I don't want to.
You can do whatever you want. The show is yours.
This is no bullshit. That's what there's a lot of bullshit in this business. ECSI isn't that.
So tell all the listeners, because I'm going to get it wrong. Can you give everyone your background from offshore to your CG technology so they can get a feel for exactly the experience that you had. I mean, the firsthand knowledge of risk management from start to finish.
Yeah. So grew up in Pittsburgh, born and raised, went to Penn State, was around sports my whole life. Jack Ham was my next door neighbor growing up. So, I mean, it was just part of the culture anyway, but was real in tune with all of that. Was around a lot of people that was probably in the business, but I didn't really know. I was handing out tip sheets, in sixth and seventh grade that were parlay cards. So been around the business for a very long time. Go to school, graduate with a broadcast journalism degree, come back. I'm hustling 3 jobs. I'm running in circles with, guys that are picking up, dropping off, betting, all this stuff. And a guy knows a guy who knows a guy who says he's going to start an offshore sports book, 1996. And he tells me what I like to go and learn the business and help him get this thing off the ground. Original plan was to go to Aruba. I couldn't do it. I'm the oldest of 5. I'm not going to tell my old school, Italian mom that I'm graduated college and now I'm going to work in an offshore sports book in an island, in a gray area. She'd have killed me. But I was covering games, and I was covering a high school football game in November in Pittsburgh. Started raining about game time, 36 degrees. I'm soaking wet, trying to keep the shot sheet with the cameraman and all this stuff. Turned to freezing rain during the game. And I was like, I'm calling this guy. I'm taking my shot. So at 26, I picked up and moved to Curacao and started with a guy with a book called ABC Island Sports, which is still around today. And, man, I showed up in, I believe it was January of 97, in its infancy, and learned it from the ground up. I started on the phones. He said, you got to listen to what customers say. You got to learn how the operators have to be trained, because I had to train people that lived in Curacao, spoke 4 languages, but they didn't know sports, how to answer and take bets. So everything we did was by phone. There was no internet wagering back then. So you had to call and make a play, and learn that. And after 3 months, I was ready to go home. I said, this is crazy. I'm working 12 hours a day, every single day in this office. There's a beach, a 3-minute walk across the street. I haven't stuck my feet in the sand yet. So the guy says to me, all right, well, let's change things around here. You're going to do everything. You're going to sit in the chair. We're going to make numbers every day. We're going to take bets. We're going to increase limits. We did everything that you wanted to do back then to get more business. It didn't involve promo codes. It didn't involve, we gave people match, 20% on top of your deposit, things like that. But we weren't, there was no bad beat refunds. We were just trying to get business, and it was in its infancy. So we hustled, and I learned. I got a PhD in a business, Jeff. From the ground up, all sports. We did the full season. We did everything. So he picked up and started to look for other islands. I did a stint in the Dominican Republic. I did about a month there, in an office that had everything. I went back to Curacao. I jumped over to Aruba briefly. And when the time came to go to Costa Rica, I did not go. So I came back to the United States, kind of got out of the business. And what I got into when I came back was a handicapping service. And I did 6 months in a handicapping service with people that in the business. The business is actually a pretty tight circle once you really get involved in it and you stay involved. There's a lot of people that have come and gone, but if you stay in it, you just find each other. Lasted about 6 months, and I'm in Pittsburgh freezing my ass off. I moved to Arizona. I learned the furniture business. I become a director of sales and marketing at a golf resort in Scottsdale, Arizona, all this stuff. As fate would have it, I reunite with my now wife, and her parents live in Las Vegas. So, do you want to move to Vegas? Yeah, I guess so. Twist my arm. Come to Vegas. I'm a stay-at-home dad, and I'm playing hockey in a league with a guy who runs the valet at the Golden Nugget. He says, come down and talk to the sportsbook director. He'll probably hire you in a heartbeat. You've done everybody's job in a book. He'll hire you in a second. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I go down. 5 minutes. It's Chris Andrews, guy from Pittsburgh. He's at the Golden Nugget at the time. We talked for 5 minutes. It's Thursday. He goes, all right, I'm putting all your stuff through. You start on Saturday. I was like, let me call my wife. He's like, do you want the job or not? You got to start on Saturday. It's football season. Done. 18-year run. 18 years in the books. We go from the Nugget out front writing tickets, part-time, then full-time, and then we go out to the M Resort the day the book opened there, CG Technology. We stay out front. There's a lot of things that went on there that, you can Google and find out and read about, but did a stint in the back there at first and then went down to the Strip, did the Cosmopolitan, did the Venetian, took a job to be the director in West Virginia, Wheeling Island Casino in West Virginia in 2018 with the passing of PASPA. Took an opportunity, lasted 8 weeks. I said, I can't do it. Moved back. And, CG was gracious enough to take me back, but they said, you got to come back in the risk room, do the numbers, do everything. So I jumped back into that life and rode that out for 2.5 years until the company got sold to William Hill. And when the company got sold to William Hill, something was telling me to take a step back. And whatever it was a higher power, because on September 1st, we transferred everything over to William Hill. I stepped back. On September 11th, I woke up and could not talk. I was having a stroke. I ended up having a major stroke, blood clot on my brain. 3 hours later, thank God, my daughters were home because of COVID. They got me help, called 911. I got to the hospital. I woke up 3 hours later like I took a nap and become a media person since. And it's been a whirlwind. We're doing all kinds of things. We're doing shows like this. We're doing shows every day. We're writing articles. It's been a blast, but I'm still very in tune with what's going on in the business. And now I don't have to sweat the first half of the Canisius and Siena game. Instead, I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate more people into this business while still trying to keep the root of the business. We all love the action, JD. We all still love the action.
And I talked to you the day, your last day at CG Technology.
Yep.
You told me weeks on prior what was coming up. You knew this day was coming, and then what was the next move? My follow-up to you would be this. You see where the game is going. You talked about the bad beat refunds, the in-game wagering, the first 2 minutes, will there be 2 threes? The kiosks.
Oh,
okay. We're old school guys. And you talk about Chris Andrews. There's nothing better. When I go to Vegas, I stay across the street at the Grandview. I walk over to the South Point. There's Chris. There's Jimmy. It's family. And it's an amazing time there. Do you like where this is going? Listen, because we talked about the football cards, okay? 1975 was my first wager. Red Sox, Cincinnati Reds, World Series. I lost 50 cents to my classmate. I was that guy giving out the football cards in 6th grade all the way through high school. When you talk about sports, wagering, gambling, whatever the word you use, we get shunned. We're that guy in the corner. And oh my God, what a disease. It's disgusting. And now they're promoting all this kind of stuff to the degens. Do you like where it's going?
I mean, no. As an old school guy, I see it now. But like, I saw all this back in the late 90s when the offshores. I mean, it was, but it had to be hidden. Now everything's public. I mean, they're doing stock deals on this stuff. People are not inventing businesses, but they're starting businesses, and then they're selling them a year later to somebody for $10-20 million. And I'm not even sure what the product is. There's a lot of things that are happening, and it's happening so fast, JD, which, for us, nothing happened for the longest time. What all happened was you went from football season to basketball season, and then you went from basketball season to kind of playoff basketball, and then you morphed into baseball a little bit. Then you tried to squeeze in a family trip here or there. And then before you knew it was football season again. Now it's like, well, how can we consolidate this, or how can we transfer that, or where can you get customers at here, promo codes, bad beat refunds, all this stuff. And it's for me, it's a little too much too fast. Like it's in everybody's face. I was back east. I did the trip. I mean, we went to that Red Sox game. DraftKings has an ad on the Green Monster. What? I mean, are you serious? Like you people been booking games outside of Fenway Park on the street since the 1920s. And they were never even allowed to talk about it. Now they just split. The hell with it. Splash it. We'll pay them for an ad to do it. The 50-50 in the game is sponsored by DraftKings. I mean, it's all over the place now. So I don't know. I don't know where the business is going. I'm not, I don't know if I want to say I'm discouraged. I'm not encouraged yet. I know for, old guys like us, I mean, we're both in our 50s or whatever. Like we've seen a lot of stuff and no one's asking. That's the weird thing. Like to me, I mean, I'm available. My DMs are open. You can see everything I do is right there on Twitter. If you get my number, I'm responsive. I'm like, you guys can ask. I'll help you with the pitfalls that are coming because you're all making the same mistakes that I've already seen. You've seen. Just ask. And so I think for guys like us, we'll have a place. It may not be at the main table right now, but by the time the main course comes, because we're in the appetizer stage, man. I mean, we're just placing the orders right now. We're just still looking at the menu. But by the time the main course comes, I think we'll have a spot. I just don't know where. I don't know where. Hopefully it's in somewhere warm. I can tell you that.
You talked about the 80s, the 90s. That's where I got involved. We've talked on your show at the Cash Consid Show. Catch that podcast weekly. Amazing group of guys there. And always fun, always hooting, and a lot of knowledge. And always remember, no ketchup on your hot dog, please. But back in the 80s and 90s, where I got introduced, the two sports services we talked about, no internet, no cell phones. It was the 900 numbers every 10 minutes to get the updates. It was, for me, 5 newspapers: the Boston Herald, the Boston Globe. It was the New York Post, the other New York paper. And on Fridays, we were blessed with the
The Daily News?
Nope, not the Daily News. Out of Washington.
The Post? Washington Post?
Nope. There was something that came out every Friday that I would grab as well. I always had the USA Today as well, but there was one that came out every Friday.
The National, when Frank Ford. Yeah. Oh, that was amazing. That was a great, and that didn't last long enough. That was a short run, but that's what a lot of these things had happened back then. Do you remember I Am Better?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that was the guy. We knew that Boston was a very good market when I was offshore. I got introduced. I was doing spots with I Am Better every Friday that he would write about in the column, and then we would have him on the show, or he would have us on his show, whatever he was doing, and we did a promo. If you called and said I Am Better, told you to put you to sign up for an account, we had a bonus, an I Am Better bonus. I mean, so like that area of the country has always been a hotbed of activity in this business.
You talked about where we are today. I'm very well connected. I've worked a long time with the North End. And so the old timers there, when the internet came, these guys want to be on their phones from 11 to 1:30 sharp. They're back at 4. And then on Saturdays, you had to interrupt them because they'd come back from 6:30 to 7:15, and that was it, and the phones are ringing and now they hate this stuff. The guys at Federal Hill, they're pulling their hair out in Rhode Island. It's here to stay, unfortunately, and there's nothing that we can do. So I want to tell everyone here about March. Okay, so we had our formal introduction, March. It was breakfast at the South Point. Mm-hmm. Well, the breakfast turned to lunch, and the lunch turned to almost dinner. We went through 2 VEASAN shows. Wes Reynolds comes by, talks to us, and then he's going on the air. And then next thing you know, here comes Jimmy Vaccaro. He's coming over to talk to us. He's into his night routine. And that's how we officially were introduced. So it's amazing what the internet has done. Without the internet, we might not have finally met. And
Right.
as you said, people in this business, you flock to the good guys, and we stay away from the negativity. I only put your two shows here. I had a list this long for every damn show that you've been on. It just, the Sirius Radio, the Sports Grid. You're
Yep.
on with Matt Peralt and Pushing the Odds. You've
Yep.
been on VSiN. I mean, the list is endless, Dave. Is it just pick up the phone? I mean, do you need a secretary? Do you need an agent? How do you keep track of this?
It's been a challenge, but you know what I say all the time? I'm used to answering 10 phones or watching a cavalcade of bets come across a bet ticker in seconds, boom, 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 and moving lines and things like that. So I think all the training that I had in chaos of working life, and then I'm a dad, I got 3 girls, you got to meet 2 of them. There's a lot going on when you're a parent, so I'm able to juggle it, but it is getting tough. I've taken some calls from some guys like, hey man, do you need an agent? They're like, yeah, I could use an agent for sure. Can I just got back from our trip back east, and I came home and between Jessica and myself, we found a big wall calendar to then daddy can write when he's on shows, so the rest of the house knows, listen, if he's in his room on the microphone or the headphones are on, don't just come barging in and talking, because there's a lot going on. But yeah, no, it's been fun. And like, that's the one thing like I am really happy about is that I'm an open book. I mean, I like to talk about the business. I love the business and I love people. And this is between both sides of the counter. I've met some just amazing, amazing people, whether they're good bettors or not, that's to be determined by, them or the book. It doesn't really matter. But I like to talk about the business. And now those opportunities are all over the place. Whereas, like you said before, I mean, me and you sat for 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever that conversation was, and just talked about the business, our lives, our kids, our families, all this stuff, where we've been, where we wanted to go, and, hopefully where we end up together somewhere. But it's fun to talk about, and it's accepted. It's okay. We would have had to have that conversation in the back room of a coffee house, under, hoods on and stuff. What are those guys talking about back there? Now we can sit and like wave at people, had people come by the table, visit with us, listen to guys talk about their bets. Like it's fun that it's now open. That's the best part about all of this expansion, about all this other stuff. You just have to be cautious about what circles you're running in. That's all.
Okay, last topic on this part, and then I have a few questions that some of the listeners might want your sharp advice on a few potential futures in the baseball, since we're at the break, and then we'll do a quick breakdown on tonight's NBA Game 4. I see it on social media, so I need you to set this straight. The books are set up for the publics and the degens, and they are not set up for quote unquote the sharp bettors. There's a handful of guys on Twitter that bitch, moan, yell, scream, holler how, they used to be able to place, 5-dime bets, 10-dime bets. If they needed more, you got to get it okayed. Now they're down to pennies on the dollar. Is it just a handful? Does this truly, truly exist? Or if someone wanted to come to the window when you were working out of the blue, and I have a duffel bag, you don't know me. How does that work, Dave?
So I learned the business at a place where we didn't turn down one bet, but if we set a limit, you got it, but everybody got it. So if it was 10 dimes a game in the NBA, you got 10 dimes a side, 2 dimes a total. Didn't matter who you were. You made a bet, we moved the number. You made another bet, we moved the number. Whatever we needed to do, we did. Then I got to Vegas and I saw things operate a little bit differently. Because I think maybe the liquidity in the market, every book is different. I started to see people limit people, literally tell them, we don't want your business. And I could not understand it. I was like, what are you guys doing? Who could this guy be? How could he be that good? You don't want to take his bets. I want to take his bets every time if he's that good, because now I will know what side to be on. Like, that's the way we learned the business. That's the way I was taught the business. And, I'm not a WNBA expert, but if someone else is and they're playing at my place and giving me the plays and they win close to 6 out of 10 times, which, by the way, 6 out of 10 is amazing. Is you do that for a couple of years, that's retirement money. Like, you're done. You can't go 6 out of 10. If you do, you're one of 2 or 3% of people doing it, and you should keep doing it. But as a book, if you're doing it, I want that. So now with the social media, which, again, there's a lot of positives from it, but there's also a lot of negatives. You see the negative on gambling Twitter, and these sharp guys who I know personally, most of them, I've taken a lot of their bets. They're good at the job. Sometimes they're not. They lose too. They don't always win, but you have to set limits as a book that's fair. And like my boys at the circuit are doing a really good job. They just, they set a limit and it's pretty fair, and people can bet. When they want more, or you ask if you can have more, you take it. Like, you do your best. If you come in with a duffel bag with $50K and you want to bet the NBA finals tonight, I'm going to do everything in my power. If the limit's 20, but you want to bet the Bucks minus 4.5, whatever we have, I'm going to say, listen, I'll take 30K at 4.5. We'll go to 5. You can bet the rest. I'm not going to go from 4.5 to 6 and say, all right, now you can bet it. I'm going to take bets on the way up. So, yeah, man, it's you can't believe everything that you see and hear on Twitter or on Instagram and all this stuff. There's a lot of people out there selling you a lot of bullshit. A lot of those guys are real bettors. I mean, they are moving money. Whether it's their own or not, that's for someone else to decide. But they know what they're doing. But I mean, the other side of the counter has never been better than it is right now. I mean, the amount of information, the amount of people following services like yours or other people. I mean, there's a lot of like stuff out there. There's betting bots that have made trading like automated, like they did with the stock market. And they're just better at it than the books. So the books have this reticence, have this hesitation to just not take the action, which I don't agree with. Like, and that's part of the reason why I think I'm in the media stuff more now than in the book, because I was the guy in the book always advocating for the player. Listen, if we don't take a bet, we're out of business. We don't have a job. Like, we can sit here behind his fancy counter in his okay office with all these screens, and if we don't have anybody betting, we're closed. And I saw that with the day the pandemic hit. I mean, they walked in and said, "You're all gone. File for unemployment." Well, wait, what? It was just like that. You're gone. So, I mean, all these years and all this experience, they didn't give a shit either. You're gone. So if you don't take bets, you're not in business. So you're in the business to take bets. Ah, man, JD, I don't know where the industry's going. When I see people taking future bets on a guy to win the Open this week, I'm sure you're going to have a nice package with guys and stuff. I mean, 40-1. If you can't take $100 at 40-1, you'll limit guys to 18 cents or $18.18, whatever their calculation risk figures come up with, and they give you those numbers because they're European companies that equate things to pounds. So it comes back in US dollars. It's always an odd amount. But if you can't take 100 to win 4 dimes on a 40-1 shot, maybe, I don't know if you should actually even be in the business.
You talked about the U.S. Open. I've talked at length. You get our alerts. There's 156 golfers this week, Dave. Okay, so on yesterday's show, Scotty was here, and I said, and I'll say it to you: if you were Nick Faldo right now, I said, and you told me who to pick, I'll give you one swing. And even if you wanted to take John Rahm at 8.5-1, the odds of you hitting a golf tournament with 156 golfers, that's what everyone wants, is that one golden ticket. There's only one winner. There's 155 losing tickets, confetti, beer coasters, whatever you want to call it, and that's the amazing part about it. And so if you don't have a system, if you don't understand, hey, I'm going to invest 3 units into the British Open, and then you calculate the odds, And then you do, maybe you have a half, unit on rum, and then you do quarters on the 20 and 30, 40 ones. And then like we do here at ECSI, here's $10. These are called scratch tickets. Take these five guys, $10 is going to win you 2,000 or more. And you talked about Circa, Derek Stevens, Jeffrey Benson. What they are doing is simply amazing, and how they're opening up limits as it gets closer to, like last week, the Conor McGregor fight. Maybe early in the week they only 3 to 5 times. By 2 hours before the fight, on the app, 25, 50,000, whatever you want, and what they do on Sundays, and this is what I love about the market. Who's going to be the first one to get the college games out on Sunday?
Right.
We're getting ready for the NFL games, right? But they got all their sharps Sunday at 11 a.m., Dave.
Yep.
All right, windows are open for next Saturday's games. And that's the amazing thing. Does Circa beat John and company at Westgate, and so on and so forth? And that's good for the game.
Oh, yeah. No, competition. I think competition makes it better, both for consumer and industry. And I think, unfortunately, what's happening with this is we're going to see consolidation fast and less competition, because big guys are kind of, they have an endless amount of money to spend on, advertising, marketing, all this stuff. And we're getting away from the business. The business is still the business. The betting business is still there. There's 156 golfers in the British Open this week. I mean, I don't care who you are. If you want to bet it, we got odds. Let's go. I would take all the bets. Everybody, I don't care who you are. You could be so-and-so's caddy. Just let's go. 156 with that weather and all this stuff. Take your shot. I got all the bets. I'm good in that position as the book. And, it's on me to adjust the odds and make sure we're in a good position. Not on you. I'm trying to give you a shot to make plays. Let's go. And now, with golf betting, you've seen the evolution of it, right? It used to be just to win. Now it's first round leader, to make the cut, yes, no's, to finish top 20, top 10, top 5. Different odds on everything. Will there be a hole in one every tournament now? Used to just be the big majors or just the Masters. There's groups. There's the matchups. The matchup betting is grown. That was the sharpest market I've ever booked. One of the top 3 ever. It was only sharps, and it was impossible to win as the book, because 3 guys were betting it, and they were just better at it than you. Your prices sucked. They beat you. They'd lay the second, third number. They'd kill us. Now, a little more liquidity in the market, a little more, common man betting. I can take a little more. We only used to maybe say take 300. Now let's take 500. Why not? I mean, we don't do enough handle. We can't win every day. That's the other thing. The books want to win every day. You can't win every day. If you're in this business and you think the books win every day, I know you're not really in the business. That's what I always say. And if you're betting and you tell me you win all the time, you're full of shit too. You're full of shit too. You can't win all the time. But if you win more than you lose and you space out the units, you always talk about, even quickly in those daily blurbs, money management. By the time you get to Sunday, you call it Envelope Monday, right? We're good. We don't need to do anything today. So let's have fun. We're up 4 units I'm not giving it back today and pressing so I can say, oh, well, I won 8 units. No, you know what? I'm good with 4 units, and I'm taking a shot. If you win these, yeah, you're going to be up 6.5. But if not, you're going to be up 3.75. What's wrong with that? No one understands it. No one understands it, JD.
Instant gratification. The way they're wired, very simply, is this: is you get to Sunday, you're up 4 units. The mind is wired. It's a free swing. If you're down 4 units going into Sunday, the initial thought process is, let me get even. Well, why we say at ECSI, quicksand Sunday. The NFL Sunday is a perfect example. Down 4 units going into Sunday. I'll play the 1 o'clock games, and you lose another 3 units. You're down to 7 units now, and you got a shorter menu at 4 o'clock, but we'll hit that one. Now you're down 9 units going into the 8 o'clock game, and you're hoping there's a West Coast LA basketball game somewhere,
Right.
so you can parlay and play everything inside and out, and then you wake up Monday hungover, no bankroll, and most of the people just start over again on Monday. But that's for another story. It's just
Right.
insanity. I'm going to bring this up, and let's see if you can have some fun with this, Dave. Since you've been in this business, you've seen this. We want your thoughts here. Let's get it bigger for you.
Oh, look at this.
We talked about this on the show yesterday. This is from BetMGM. Okay, we're
Okay.
at the All-Star break right now, and here's your odds to win the American League. We talked about, believe it or not, if you take the Yankees name out of that and you look in there 10 and a half, 11 games back, if that was any other team's name other than the Yankees, that would be like plus $3,000.
Yes.
I mean, the AL East currently is a 2-dog race with the Sox and the Rays. White Sox sitting real pretty. Minnesota will be sellers. I think Cleveland will be sellers. And then you go out west, Astros, theirs to lose. And you got Oakland hanging around. We talked about the White Sox. We talked about the fact that they got a good front end with Rondon, Lynn.
Yep.
And Cease's pitching better. They got a veteran with Keuchel that can eat up some innings. Jimenez is on a rehab assignment. He'll be back in less than 30 days, and the potential of getting Luis Roberts back.
Yeah.
So we talked about the White Sox as that team in the American League. Now, you got the 20 years behind the desk. Give us your thoughts, if you can help anyone listening here, that what you might see with these numbers for the American League.
Tell you what, I mean, you just summed it up. At this point in the season, I know even when, we were handling the futures, it was basically eliminate now with a really good price who you think is not going to make it. And for me, this price here is the Yankees should be a lot higher. They're out. I mean, the next couple of weeks are going to determine it, essentially when we get to that trade deadline. But, I mean, unless they win, there's 18 games between now and the deadline. They got to win 14 or 15 to make, that push to say we're going for it. They may be sellers. So AL East, it's Boston and Tampa, like you said. I don't really consider anyone else in that division to be a threat. The White Sox are obviously going to win that division, trying to get that top spot so they can get the wild card. But at the same time, that wild card may be Tampa, may be the Red Sox. That's not going to be easy. In the AL West, I like the A's. I think they can catch the Astros, and I think they can win that division. Now, that's just to get in. They have been one of those teams that continue to hang around, get into playoffs, and get nowhere in October because they're not built that way. Well, maybe they will be, but I mean, as far as value, those are the teams those are the only teams I would look at in the American League. Who's coming out of it? JD, I like to wait until we get there because it's nice to say, like, yeah, the White Sox are getting guys back. They're going to be okay. They may not. So tying up future money is tough for me in a sport like baseball that you're on the Braves. Acuna goes and jumps. His knee's done. They're done. And it's that quick. So you can take your shots, like you said, pizza money only, unless, like 2 years ago, like we were in the book, and when you see those prices get put out there by books, and I'm not sure they'll do it, but we used to do it all the time. It was like a feeler, right? I kept putting Nationals out 2 years ago because I was watching it going, what am I missing here? This team is not that far back. This division's not that good. What am I missing? I think they're going to make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, they can make a run. We were hanging 80-1. Nobody was touching it. We were like, all right, they keep winning. It's June. Nobody's touching it. We maybe leave it 60, see if anybody bets it. Nobody bet it. So what we did in the office was we bet it. And we made a nice score because no one was betting it. Like, so bet it around town, come around, and then when it got to the World Series, it was a lot of fun for a lot of us. But those are the type of teams I think you got to be looking at. Teams that can make the playoffs right now that no one is really considering. And I think for me and you and our discussion, I think it's more in the National League than it is in the American League for me.
And let's get to the National League now. Now, you talked about the Nationals, and you talked about 2 years ago. I had a good friend that hit Bovada twice in 3 days,
Right.
and got an amazing score on the Nationals, and then called them up very nicely and says, "Hey, just to let you know, these are my 2 tickets. I'd like to hedge." And they say, "No, go pound sand." So he said, "Okay, thanks." And needless to say, they were paying him every week cash, and then they went to Bitcoin on every other week. So it was comical, but he got paid. The National League now. A couple weeks ago, you got the alerts. We threw out the Nationals.
Yeah.
We talked about they're on a nice run, a nice price at 3,000 to win the National League, and there was 6,000 to win the World Series. Then Schwarber goes down, Trey Turner gets nicked up. They now could become sellers. Acuna done for the year. I'm going to throw something crazy out to you, and this is kind of comical when I'm going to say it, because I think the Reds are the hot, sexy one. They got hot. They just took 2 out of 3 from the Brewers. Castillo's back. Their back end sketchy. They can put a lot of runners on base. Offensively fine, but I'm going to play a game with you here. Phillies look at the fact that the Atlanta with the Acuna's out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're in second. We know their back end is atrocious. Okay. Let's play a game where Washington becomes sellers, which actually that wouldn't happen. So I'm going to play a game with you. They call the Cubs, they get Kimbrel, and they make a great deal, and they get Marquez. And is plus 3,000 just a fantasy? Again, we're using a crystal ball here. What do you see in the National League?
Well, I think that's the division that's really most in question for me, because I just don't believe what I see with the Mets. There's something, as good as DeGrom is, although he is one of their better hitters too, their lineup just doesn't do it for me. So I think the teams in the NL East are live, not the Braves. I think they're done with that. That injury is just too much to overcome. The rotation's not good enough. It's not. The success of last season isn't carried over. So I think the Phillies and the Nationals, until the Nationals actually declare their sellers, I think they're still alive. They can come out of the break, win 8 out of 10 games, and get this thing flipped around, going towards winning the division. The problem in the National League is the wild cards are already decided. The NL West, 2 teams, whether it's the Dodgers, Padres, or Giants, whoever wins the division, the other 2 are the wild card. So now they're all making the playoffs. It would be a colossal collapse by any one of those 3 for them not to make it. So the other 2 spots come from division winners. I still am not sold on the Mets. It's one of those 3 teams, but obviously the Mets are the favorite. There's no value there. The Brewers' futures are interesting to me. I am really impressed with the Brewers, the top end of the rotation. The bullpen is excellent. The lineup really has no holes, and it's a lot of guys that just keep showing up, hitting bombs, moving runners. They're doing all the things that they need to do to win games. And they get to play the Pirates a lot. They get to play the Cubs, who I think are a bad baseball team. I thought they were bad before the season. They had a nice little run. I think they are going to be sellers, and they have a lot of pieces to sell. So they're going to go bad. The Cardinals, I can't figure out. I just guess, their pitching is just not very good. And I don't know. Guys aren't hitting the way Arenado and those guys aren't. They're not hitting the way maybe they were projected to hit. So I think for me, if you're looking for a value team, it's the Brewers. I think they're one of the ones that I think could. We just got to get to the playoffs, and then you know what to do. The way you do it with the money management and things like that, we'll work off of it. The series prices, will they be favorites? Will they be dogs? It's going to be pick'ems. It's going to be. The series prices are going to be tight They may be dogs in a series against the wild card winner if they get the wild card winner. So there's a lot of things that can happen between now and then. But for me, the value teams are the Nationals, the Phillies, and the Brewers are the real one where I think you could, put a ticket in your pocket, hang it on the fridge, put it in a Ziploc baggie if you still get a paper ticket, and then come back in September and go, oh, yeah, I remember when JD and Dave were on that show and they said that. Now what do I do? So those are the options.
And we did talk Brewers yesterday. Their front end has been pitching great.
Yeah.
They got 3 good front end starters. They have the best, or considered one of the best closers with Hader, who struggled over the weekend. I talked about just hopefully he doesn't have that second half, regression that he tended to have last year. But all right, so now, without further ado here, let's take it to what everyone wants to hear Dave's talk here. Let's get this off the screen for you. And let's bring up the game tonight.
Okay.
Now, if I can, I'm a little slow here. I apologize here.
It's fine.
All right, let's try again.
You need a producer.
I do need a producer. My email is open, so please come. Email is at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com.
There you go.
And here we go, Dave. Now, it's game 4, extra rest, okay?
Yep.
Extra rest. I'm going to pull up the chart. We have tickets, as you know, at ECSI for the Bucks plus 650. I still have faith. Now, with that being said, the Clippers, the Suns, and game 4, their run to start the game. Ask the Clippers, 10-2 game over. They did it again in the series before the Clippers. They come out guns a-blazing. Booker was nowhere to be found other than on the bench in the fourth quarter. I talked to some guys, Kevin yesterday, and I was talking to a couple other wise guys, and I'm like, are you guys nervous in the first quarter? Are you nervous in the first half? I mean, do the Suns come out and blitz these guys? I'm a little nervous that the line opened at 3.5. It is now 4. 65% of the bets and the majority of the money is coming in on Milwaukee. Are they the public side for the first time? And the Suns the sharper side. Under over opened at 221, now 220.5. You can get the Suns right now plus 155 money line if you think they're going to win tonight. The stage is yours, Dave.
I think it's really interesting because the Bucks in game 3 was just one of those plays that is, guys in the industry, you just know they're going to win that game. Like it was though there was minimal sweat. There was just one of those things. So game 4, I think with the extra rest, with Phoenix having arguably their worst performance of the playoffs. I mean, it was as bad as it gets. And, it's fun to see what Giannis is doing. And, I mean, they have no answer for him. The Suns have no answer. He's going to get his. The talk is amongst a couple of people that can he win the MVP and be on the losing team? I think it can happen. I think he's live to actually do that. As far as game 4, I think Phoenix is the play right now. I think the line's inching up to 4.5. I see it 5 in a couple places. That's where it's headed. I think 5 is the buy point. I think you'll see, the money come in, the bag guys, which I like to call the guys that show up with the bag of money and come and plop it on the counter and play it to keep the books in line. I think that's going to be the side. I think Phoenix is live to win the game. I do. The total is spectacularly hard. The odds makers, we used to say it all the time. We didn't get all the numbers right, but when you do, you got to pat yourself on the back. Finally got to a number here with this total. It's pretty much going to be 220, 219, 221 the rest of the series. This is where it's going to fall. Good luck picking over. Good luck picking under. It's coming down to the last minute of a basketball game, which to get there either way, the sweats are amazing. It's fine. I don't have a favorite side, or I think if you like Phoenix, I think you like the under. I think if you like Milwaukee, you got to look towards the over. Milwaukee's got to run. They got to give Giannis the ball. He's got to score 35 close to 40 points for them to win the game. If Giannis isn't scoring, missing shots, or not getting to the free throw line, then I think you got to really watch Phoenix, because they can't go on those spurts where they light it up. And now Phoenix has Milwaukee out of what they do. And that's where I think we saw the games in Phoenix. If Milwaukee can't, not slow down the game, but play their style, they can't win.
The opening under over 221. So basically, I mean, give or take, they're saying 113, 109, 112, 108. It is trending down. Again, not that we're, as you know, a first quarter or first half type of service here. That's where I feel this. If Phoenix blitzes them first quarter, first half, I think that they're going to hold on. Not that Milwaukee can't come back from a deficit. They've shown that they have. This is a team that went into Brooklyn and won a game 7. They're not afraid of the moment. They're not afraid of the stage. Giannis, as you said, has just been invincible. I'm really just scared. I mean, I'm replaying the Clippers game 6 like it was yesterday. It was 5-0, 7-0, 10-2. Thanks for playing.
Go over.
Yeah. Go ahead. You knew 5 minutes into the game. I didn't have to watch it. You've been around long enough. You knew you were on the wrong side. You knew right away.
And that's funny, because we do that. We've done that in the books in the risk room, and it's painful when you're on the wrong side and that's the side you need, and you're just like, oh, damn it. And then they get it to within 6, and you're like, oh, maybe this will be. No, you're dead. You're dead. Like, nope, you're dead. You get a couple close runs or something, and meanwhile you just know. And that's where like in-game comes into play. There's a lot of opportunities to maybe get off the wrong side, bet quick, play it in game. But yeah, you're right. I mean, that do you think that could happen in this game? I guess it's a fear, a worry, but like, this is it for Milwaukee, right? This is game 4 at home. It's going to be very, very difficult, I think, for Phoenix to run away and get away from them. But I think Phoenix can, for sure, they're live to win this game.
No, and I agree. And you brought up the in game. I've talked to you at length about the halftime lines and the square hole round peg, and people still don't understand that. That's for another show. You're sitting there holding Milwaukee -5 tonight, and they're down 8 at half, and they're -5.5 second half, and everyone's, I'm going to get at least half my money back, and they don't understand. Well, if they lose by 1, you win. Other than that, it goes to overtime, but no one understands that but you, Dave. I think you're the only one. So
I love it.
With that, Dave, I can't thank you enough. We were just here shooting the from the hip. We're 53 minutes deep. We could have talked for hours. Everyone here, it's unscripted. I didn't send them any script. This is how friendly. This is how we're like two brothers from a different mother. I met him in March, and next thing you know, we're singing "Sweet Caroline" 8 rows from the on-deck circle from the Red Sox. First time him and his girls been to Fenway Park, a win. Sausages at the end of the day.
The best. Oh, the kids are still talking about the sausage sandwiches, JD. I went on the MLB Network show yesterday and talked about it. They showed the pictures from the ballpark of us. I called you a sight unseen. We decided that morning in Philly. I'm driving to Boston. I'm in Connecticut. I'm like, you know what? I'm calling JD. Call you on the phone. You're like, what are you doing? I said, I'm actually in Connecticut. We're going to go to the Fenway tonight. He said, what? Yeah, we're going to go to Fenway. All right, I'll call you back. Calls me back in 30 minutes, said, I'm joining you. Where are we meeting? Just like that. It was like the movie Town when the guy says, I got to do something. I can't tell you. Who's driving? Boom. 3 o'clock, comes down to the ballpark. And we meet outside. We go sit and talk for 2 hours while the kids took a nap. It's good stuff, brother. I mean, that's right. This is us having a conversation. Thanks for people for joining. Obviously, thank you for finally, staying on top of it with me and getting the time where we could do it. Hopefully, we'll be able to make it a little more regular thing. where we can get on and do this and talk about this. But I can't wait to see where ECSI is going, man. I told you, we got places to go and people to see. Man, just come along for the ride because we're going.
Can't thank you enough. Catch them at Sports Consig on Twitter. Make sure you watch their and pick up their podcast at the Cash Consig show. Usually Fridays, Dave, on the podcast.
Yeah, we're recording today because we've been off because of my travels all around the East Coast. But yeah, we usually record either Wednesday night or Thursday night. The show drops Thursday night or Friday during the day. It's available. We try to get together once a week. We may change the format for football season, but stay tuned for that. I'm on Sports Grid every day, Sirius XM Radio, 4 to 7 Pacific, 7 to 10 Eastern. We're doing all these other shows, MLB Network, who knows what podcast. Jeff calls for breakfast bankroll. We're doing that. So, yeah, just follow along on Twitter at SportsBKConsig for Sportsbook Consigliere, and you can follow all the appearances that way as well.
And make sure you say hi to the boys. Dan Newbert will be on tomorrow. We're talking Prem League. Say hi to Carl for us. Carl's a great guy. Enjoy him. A local guy in New Hampshire. I'm only an hour and 15 away.
Yeah, baby.
So we got to keep it on the East Coast. But it's been a pleasure. And yes, our goal very simply is to try to make this a regular thing, especially as we get into football season. We kind of want to do a You're Our Eyes in the Sky from Vegas, a little east and west here.
Yeah.
We want your insight. We love the bag stories. We love the story itself, and you've been gifted from the man upstairs a second lease on life, and you're running with it. A lot of people would have run and hide. You just took it, the bulls by the horn, and you were just running. And there's so many people that are jealous and envious of you, Dave. Trust me.
Hey, man, I thank God every day, JD. You know that. We've had these conversations privately, but I share it publicly. I'm blessed. The story is amazing. I meet people every day that have had strokes, know someone that has, or have had health issues, and I know how lucky I am. I just want to share it with people and let them know it's okay. They're not alone. And even in this sports betting thing, everybody can have an opinion. We can disagree, but at the bottom of it all, the bottom line is we're all in this thing together. So that's the message, brother.
Can't thank you enough. Everyone watching, listening, thank you. Again, tomorrow, Dan Newbert. We're going to go at 3 o'clock talking the Prem League. It's a week off. We're going to be talking some odds, some futures there. And everyone, thank you. Enjoy Game 4, Bucks, Suns, go Bucks. But we both talked about the Suns' potential here. Enjoy the MLB break tomorrow. Only one game on the slate, Yanks and Red Sox. And you talked about the Yankees. They got 4 games with the Sox. So at worst, they have to go as 3-1, Dave.
At worst. They better go 3-1, JD. 2-2 is not going to get it done. But, I think the Red Sox are dogs. Is that possible? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my. Yeah. You're right back at it tomorrow, brother. See you later.
Thanks so much to everyone. Have a blessed day. Always, always, always wager with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up the phone, reach out and call someone. See you tomorrow.